Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We're just going to wait a couple more minutes. It's just hit 3 p.m. Singapore time, so we're just going to wait a couple more minutes before we start the presentation today. So good afternoon, good morning, good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us today for a virtual journey with our second Discover Rosewood Educational Webinar. Today we are featuring the Best of Europe collection. So for those who I haven't had the pleasure of meeting in person or virtually previously, my name is Jodie Clark and I'm one of the Director of Global Sales at Rosewood Hotel Group based in Singapore. So I manage our partnerships for clients across Southeast Asia, Australia and New Zealand, and I have the pleasure of moderating this call today. So here we have our guest speakers. So we have Mike Bonner, who's the Director of Sales and Marketing at the Rosewood London. We have Marie-Christine Bittencourt, the Director of Sales at the Hôtel de Crillon, a Rosewood Hotel. And last but not least, we have Maria Gasparella, the Director of Sales and Marketing at Rosewood Castiglion del Bosco. So just some housekeeping items. Please note that everyone will be on mute throughout this presentation, and so that we can keep the sound clear. We will be doing questions at the end of the presentation, so please feel free to drop those into the chat box. My colleague Peggy is driving the presentation, so I can't see the chat box, but we'll cover those at the end of the call. And we will be recording this webinar so we can send to you at the conclusion of the presentation. So lastly, I just wanted to update that we do have some prizes to give away. So your participation today will go into a lucky draw to win 2 nights at one of these wonderful properties. So before we start the individual presentations, I just wanted to take the opportunity to provide you with a bit of a brand update. So we'll move into the presentation now. Thank you, Peggy. So within the Rosewood Hotel Group portfolio, we have 3 distinct collections you can see here. The New World Hotels and Resorts brand currently has 11 properties across Asia. This brand takes pleasure in anticipating guests' needs and making a real connection with their clients so they can relax and feel comfortable. Our 5-star hotels and resorts are designed to meet the needs and expectations of all of our guests, whether they're traveling for business or pleasure. We aim to become their retreat, a place where they'll find the convenience, privacy, comfort, and care. Adding to the current portfolio, the brand continues to expand with a number of hotels in the pipeline, among which we're excited to have our first ski resort, which is located in Niseko, Japan, slated to open in 2023. COS is our most recent brand to the market, which is an innovative concept for business hotels with a distinct lifestyle orientation inspired by the energy, art, innovation, creativity, and style of a modern-day Asia. The word COS is actually derived from the Mongolian word meaning pair, and this is to symbolize how this new brand of upscale hotels will blend work, play, and ideas, east and west, with business and lifestyle. We currently have 3 properties under the COS brand. All of these are located in China for now. COS plans to establish a global footprint matching the footsteps of its guests to capital cities and urban portals. So watch this space with more to come. Lastly, our Rosewood Hotels and Resorts collection, for which we have 26 ultra luxury properties, which many of you are familiar with. Each Rosewood property embraces the brand's sense of place philosophy to reflect the individual location, history, culture, and sensibilities through authentic experiences and unique journeys. So our Rosewood journey began in Dallas in 1979 when Caroline Rose Hunt converted her family home into a hotel, which is the mansion at Turtle Creek. In 2011, ownership changed to a Hong Kong-based company. Today, Rosewood Hotels and Resorts is known as one of the most progressive and innovative hotel companies. Under the leadership and direction of Sonia Cheng, CEO of Rosewood Hotel Group, the company has transformed while embracing the founding philosophy to now have 25 properties in the pipeline to open within the next 5 years, doubling the portfolio. Certainly an exciting time for the brand. Now, across the Americas collection, we have 13 properties in operation and 7 in the pipeline. We have locations from the quintessential New York location with the Carlisle or Rosewood Hotel, which is based on the Upper East Side, over to the azure shores of the Riviera Maya with Rosewood Mayakoba, where you'll find the unique contrast of the jungle, lagoon, and white sandy beaches of Mexico. Our European collection has 8 properties in the pipeline to complement the 3 currently in operation. You'll hear more from my colleagues on these properties shortly. In terms of the Asia Pacific region, the opening of Rosewood Beijing in 2014 was the first to introduce the brand to this region, being a true reflection of Beijing, where ancient meets modern. Following Beijing, there have been 7 properties in the Asia Pacific and 2 in the Middle East to come under our portfolio, along with 8 in the pipeline. A global icon for the brand was the opening of Rosewood Hong Kong in 2019, which heralded a series of inaugural firsts for the brand and setting Rosewood apart in the Hong Kong luxury hospitality landscape. This impressive 413-room vertical estate offers entry-level rooms at 53 square meters with 91 suites and boasting stunning harbour views. So this slide's actually a great visual tool to see the strength of the brand continues. We will see 3 properties opening this year, with the first being Rosewood Villa Magna in Madrid, which will open on the 22nd of October, followed by Rosewood Logonahani in St. Bart's, opening the 4th of November, and lastly, Rosewood Sao Paulo opening the 4th quarter. We also recently announced the announcement of Rosewood San Francisco, which is located in the Transbay District in an 800-foot building with 180 rooms and suites, which is scheduled to open in 2026. Most of our portfolio are currently open and operating, with the exception of 2 properties, Rosewood Bangkok and Rosewood Luang Prabang. We expect these markets will recover and these properties will reopen and relaunch in 2022. We continue to engage our clients through multiple platforms. Like today, our educational webinar series will continue. The Rosewood Elite website will see further enhancements through to 2022, and our newsletters, curated to provide relevant and meaningful content, will continue. Should anyone wish to be included in those distribution lists, please do let me know. In terms of our brand programs, you may have seen our Stories in Season. We're a collection of purpose-led journeys designed to encourage exploration, discovery, and connection. We also had our Rosewood Placemakers, which were crafting culture through community. In this region, we worked with fashion designer Philip Wong, who will take residency at the Rosewood Phuket to talk about the future of tradition through a variety of activations. We'll soon have our Fall Escapes campaign along with our festive programming being released. So hopefully that was a relevant brand recap and update. So now I'm going to hand over to Mike from the Rosewood London to start the hotel presentations and provide more detail and insights into the Rosewood portfolio of hotels. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you, Jodie. Good morning, good afternoon. Sorry, everybody over on that side of the world. It's morning for me here in London, but good afternoon to you all. Yeah, welcome to Rosewood London. I'm going to give you a quick whiz through of the property now. So if you go, next slide, please, Peggy. So if you want to enter we're located in the very heart of London, in the very heart of the city, and I'll show you a little location map shortly. But when you arrive at the hotel, we have a very unique courtyard experience. You ride through a pair of wrought iron gates into our private courtyard, away from the hustle and bustle of the city. Here is the location. We're located geographically the centre of London, a short walk from Covent Garden and the Theatre District, which is now fully open. 15 minutes you're in Soho, or you can even walk to Mayfair as a taxi ride away. So very, very well located across the city for getting to east or west. And there's a lot of new luxury shopping in the local area, including Chanel, Tiffany, a Mulberry, or all short walk from the hotel. Next slide, please. So the property itself, we have 308 rooms and suites, 263 rooms and 45 suites. We also house 11 event spaces, including our ballroom, and 3 bars and restaurants across the hotel. So it's a busy, bustling hotel and really gives you a sense of being in the heart of London. The rooms themselves, if we start at 31 square meters, if you go to the next slide, please. The rooms themselves start at 31 square meters. The image you can see here is an executive room, so it's typical of our standard bedrooms, designed to be very residential in their style. The public space of the hotel and the bedrooms were designed by a gentleman called Tony Chi, who some of you may be familiar with. And then our top suites, our signature suites, are our houses, which we'll come on to shortly. Next slide, please. So this is an example of one of our signature suites, Garden House, sitting at 173 square meters, right on the top of the hotel on the 7th floor, has its own private terrace and garden outside. This is Manor House, which is 185 square meters, a 1-bedroom suite in its own right, but can join with 6 other rooms to make an entire wing. It has its own private postcode and entrance via its own private elevator. And this is the newest addition to the hotel, which we opened in the end of 2019. So it hasn't had huge amounts of use because we were closed for part of the pandemic. Lincoln House, 251 square meters. It's a 3-bedroom suite in its own right, but again can connect with 500 other bedrooms to create an 8-bedroom wing up on the 3rd floor. We wouldn't be a hotel that's all about the rooms and the restaurants, but we wouldn't be a good hotel unless it was all about the people. And here I'd like to introduce you to 2 of our main stars at the hotel. Judith, who's our chief concierge. She's one of the youngest concierges in London. She currently sits on the board of the Clay Door. And Paron, who is our head butler, who heads up our butler team to look after all our suites and houses guests. Next slide, please. Now, I mentioned before that we have bars and restaurants, which are quite key to us. We have 3 main spaces, but a couple of other spaces. This is the pie. The image you here see is just the pie room, actually, which is where we create our pies, which we serve in Holborn Dining Room, which is our main restaurant. If you go to the next slide, please. Our main restaurant is very popular with locals, so when hotel guests go in there, they feel they're part of the London scene. About 70–80% of the guests in there at any one time are actually Londoners and locals. It's very bustling. It's a British brasserie, and the pies are one of the main things you get in there. Across on the other side of the courtyard, we have our mirror room, slightly more elegant dining. So this is all-day dining in normal times. I say that just because right now we're just operating limiting hours in there, but we're opening that up fully shortly. And we serve our afternoon tea, which is always based on contemporary art. The current collection is based on a collection of Kusama's work, the Japanese artist, which is currently showing in London. Outside in the courtyard, in our sizable courtyard, we also have the terrace. Now the terrace is open year round, and we theme it, and we do seasonal pop-ups. It's just coming to the end of its summer pop-up, and what you see here is the winter pop-up that we're about to launch, working with Macallan Whiskey, and it's the Macallan Manor House. So it evokes the spirits of their distillery up in the glades of Scotland. Our main bar, this is Scarce Bar. It's an award-winning cocktail bar. Was last year voted the top international hotel bar. Again, very popular with Londoners and locals. We have live jazz in the bar, and it's a busy, bustling space that you can come in. You come for one, and you'll stay for the whole evening. In terms of what you can do in and around the hotel, we very much connect with London and the UK, and want people to be reminded of where they are the whole time. So as well as Covent Garden, you're a short walk from the British Museum, which is the UK's most visited attraction. We have a beautiful little eclectic little museum behind the hotel, which many of you probably haven't heard of, the Sir John Soane Museum. But if you talk to many concierge or journalists in London, they'll tell you it's their most favourite museum in London. We also, within the hotel, we do pie making masterclasses, so you can come and learn how to make some of Chef Callum's pies. And we do kids masterclasses as well, which are great fun. And we have a strong connection with gin. We have the largest gin bar in London in the hotel as well, located in Holborn Dining Room. It's the second largest in the UK and one of the biggest in the world. And I mentioned earlier, we also have event spaces. So we have 11 official spaces, but we're quite creative with other spaces. So we have the Grand Ballroom, which will accommodate about 500 guests, and then we have a number of private dining rooms. Two off the mirror room. We have the dining room and the living room, and then we have a number of boardrooms. And the pie room, which you saw that picture of the beautiful pies in earlier, can also be used for private dining or private events for up to 10 guests. Wellness is very important, particularly in these times. Everybody stays well. We have a spa, 7 treatment rooms, including 1 couple suite. We also have an elite physical trainer. The gentleman you can see there is a trainer to the stars, and the elite, we discovered recently, he's also training Boris Johnson and trying to get him into shape as well at the moment. I don't know how he's going to do it but he's around and is available to be booked. Him and his team can be booked by guests as well. And then finally, just to give you a couple of the packages and promotions that we have available right now, we have our Family Moments package, which gives you 2 rooms. You give the second room with our compliments. In for a bit of romance coming in, we can decorate your room and make you feel very special in the hotel, or more Rosewood, which basically gives you 1 night every 3rd night with our compliments. And that's Rosewood London. I will now be handing over to Marie-Christine, who's going to talk you through Hôtel de Crillon.
Thank you, Mike. Bonjour, good afternoon to all of you. My name is Marie-Christine, and I am very pleased to present today our legendary Parisian property dating back to the 18th century. Just a few words to remind you that the hotel went through an extensive renovation program during 4.5 years, reopening in 2017. So just going back to the first image, I like to show the Bar Les Ambassadeurs. Yes, please. This first image, you can see it's our Bar Les Ambassadeurs, which portrays very well the new face of the Hôtel de Crillon. And the approach to this renovation. We created a bridge between the 18th and the 21st century. So traditional features, a lot of heritage, and balanced with a contemporary design. You can move to the next. It is essential to know that our history is linked to the history of France, and has captivated generations of guests, including royalty and head of states. Let's talk a little bit about the location. So, well, let's talk about the rooms first. So 124 rooms and suites, including 10 signature suites. When you walk into the hotel, you really have the sense of place, so dear to our values. A minimum size of rooms, 32 square meters. It's the entry level. The largest room, 45 square meters. And suites are ranging from 51 to 260 square meters. We have a total of 6 event space and 4 restaurants and lounges. Going back to the location of the hotel, so we are really in the heart of Paris. The Place de la Concorde is one of the most beautiful squares in the world. Easy access from the main airports, about 45 minutes drive. Easy access as well to the most desirable neighborhoods like the Champs-Élysées area, the Opera, the Marais, also cultural sites like Louvre, Musée d'Orsay, Eiffel Tower. These are really almost like walking distance from the hotel. An important activity in Paris is the shopping. So we have the most upscale shopping area, which is the Faubourg Saint-Honoré, located right behind the hotel. So it's a 3-minute walk from the hotel. Next slide, please. So a sense of place, a sense of stay as well. Unfortunately, I cannot show you all the rooms and suites, but I can tell you they all have this like residential feel, personalized decoration with artwork, with objects that were carefully chosen by our interiors designers. We worked with a head of project, Aline Daman, who is a Lebanese-French interior designer, and her great idea was really to work with team of interior designers who were all very connoisseur of the French culture and the Parisian chic. The most famous one, and you probably know, it's Karl Lagerfeld, who signed 2 of our signature suites, Les Grands Appartements, overlooking the Place de la Concorde. Next slide, please. In terms of food and beverage outlets, so we start with Le Crin. It's our 1-star Michelin restaurant. We actually reopened the restaurant last night. It was a huge success. And I will talk a little bit about the concept of our new restaurant a little bit later. We have the Brasserie de Mont, which is a typical French brasserie, and also with a new concept that we are launching next year, and I will give you the details a little bit later. Les Ambassadeurs, so the most wanted hotel bar in the city, famous for its cocktails and live music. And the Jardin d'Hiver, which is our all-day dining and opening into our courtyard, La Cour d'Honneur. So this is really the main restaurant of our hotel, where you can really mingle with the locals as well as the ambassadors, the bar ambassadors. Next slide, please. We have also a beautiful function space. We have 3 historical rooms. They are actually interconnected, and they benefit from natural daylight, and they are overlooking the Place de la Concorde. So there's no other place to really organize your social or corporate events. We can cater for instance, 230 guests for cocktail, or 130 people seated for lunch or dinner. We have also 1 cellar where we can organize a private, dinners or lunch, and we have a very sociable, and connoisseur sommelier who can also entertain, during your event. We have as well the Orangerie Terrace, which is a perfect terrace for pre-event cocktails. Next slide, please. So we have our spa Sense, which is about 1,000 square meters dedicated to health, beauty, and wellness. The highlight of our spa, it's our pool. You can see a picture on the bottom of the slide. This pool benefits from natural daylight. It's actually on the lower level of the spa, but it has natural daylight coming from our second courtyard. The particularity of this pool is that the bottom of the basin is filled with 17,000 scales of gold mosaic. So it's really a very, very elegant, and it's surrounded by ceramics. I mean, the hotel is actually very connected with the artwork. We work, as I said, with several interior designers. So it's really like a jewel spa at our hotel. Next slide, please. So to talk a little bit about Paris. So Paris is always a good idea for to come and visit, and especially now after the pandemic, the city is renewing with its cultural life, with the gastronomic life, the shopping. So we starting to see a lot of visitors, and the city has a very good energy with new offers for restaurants, new exhibitions. So it's really like a city that is filled with news. And of course, we know that the trips to Asia are still not easy, but just to give you an update on the COVID situation, France is open to all citizens with a full vaccination scheme. So, and the vaccines has to be, recognized by the European government. So it's a Pfizer, AstraZeneca, Janssen, and Moderna. And we require the PCR test to enter the country, and the proof of vaccination. And with that, your clients can, move around very easily. Next slide, please. So what's new at the hotel? So I mentioned about the Brasserie d'Aumont, which is our main French brasserie. We have signed a collaboration with Chef Paul Perret, which is a French chef based in Shanghai, and probably you all have heard about him. He has a 3-star Michelin restaurant, Ultraviolet, and 2 other brasseries in Shanghai. And this is his first venture in Europe, and he will be signing our new brasserie menu, and this project is to be launched next year. L'Écrin, our gastronomic restaurant, so we actually reopened last night, and we also created a new concept where the approach is first is the beverage. So clients will be first selecting their preferred wine, or it can be it can be another beverage, can be a whiskey, can be a sake. Xavier Tuizard, our head sommelier, he's a very well has a great knowledge on wines, but also in sake. He actually received last year the highest honor in the Japanese by the Japanese government, the Sake Samurai title. So he is really I would say the center of the restaurant. Of course, the menu it's gastronomic, but it will be first the selection of the wine, and then the menu is built around the beverage. Next slide, please. In terms of new packages, we of course have a family package here at the hotel. The interconnection, it's between suites and rooms. And quite often our family package is available, and the second bedroom benefits from 50% of the rate. However, we just launched as well the pet package in collaboration with a French brand called Au Départ. It's a very traditional brand. And they actually customize all the accessories for the pets. So the collar, the leash, the dog, bed, and all the items. And we launched this package, which is available also on our website. Next slide, please. Family reunion. So I mentioned about the family package, but we also created a new package while following some marketing initiatives from Rosewood. So we also collaborating with 2 French brands, Bray is an eco label that is making the pajamas for the whole family. We also work with Small Abo, which is a family concept store responsible for creating a setup in the kids' room. And we will have a large array of different experiences for the kids, ranging from classes, nighttime pool party, treasure hunt, and movie in the suite. Next slide, please. So this is the end of the presentation. I have this beautiful picture to show you, which is the terrace of one of our top suite signatures, the Bernstein Suite, that offers this magnificent view of Paris. Thank you very much for your assistance, and I hand over to Maria.
Thank you very much, Marie-Christine. Good morning from Tuscany. Of course, good afternoon, good evening for all of you so far away. I'm super happy that we have this opportunity to bring you for a few minutes to Europe and then to Tuscany, to Italy, and tell you a little bit about Castiglion del Bosco. First of all, I just would like to, give a little update on the country situation, right, in terms of travel restrictions and guidelines, government guidelines. We are actually in a phase that it's opening up thanks to the very high vaccination rate. Almost 80% of the population is vaccinated. So the government is now really opening the borders, and hopefully this will be actually extended also to other areas extra Europe, in addition to the US that it's already open, but hopefully Asia and Middle East and Australia very soon. So I think it's a good time for us all to give you an update on our properties here in Europe. Castiglion del Bosco, we are in the heart of Tuscany, so it's a beautiful countryside estate of 5,000 acres, so it's a huge piece of land located in Montalcino, so in the wine-making region of the famous Brunello and the UNESCO-listed Val d'Orcia Natural Park. So it's really in that part of Tuscany where you see the cypress trees, the rolling hills. In summer, you have sunflower fields. And our estate has been envisioned by Mr. Massimo and Mrs. Chiara Ferragamo. So it was founded by the Ferragamo family as their private residence at the beginning, and then of course it developed into beautiful Rosewood Hotel today. Looking at the location, so we are in the heart of Tuscany, in the heart of Italy. So it's about 2.5 hours north of Rome and 1.5 hours south of Florence. So Florence and Rome can be the two main international airports to refer to. Siena is also our closest city, right? So it's definitely smaller than Florence, but 40 minutes from where Castiglion del Bosco is located. The hotel is made of 42 suites and 11 villas. And this is actually an update from the past, because we used to have only 23 suites in the Borgo. So the Borgo is actually the village that you can see in this picture, and it's the heart of the resort where all the main hotel facilities are located. So we used to have the 23 suites here, and then the 11 villas located throughout the property in the estate. Now, if you go to the next slide, Peggy, we can see one of the new suites actually, because in August, we added 19 new beautiful suites. So now we have 42 suites at the Borgo, at the village, And this is a new complex actually that has been completed after 4 years actually of work. All the new suites have a beautiful, breathtaking view of the Val d'Orcia, and they all guarantee private outdoor areas, being a terrace or a garden. There's a new lap infinity pool. So at the village, we now have 2 beautiful pools, and there's a new category of suites that is the garden suite, which is characterized by a private garden. Our suite, just as a reference, our suites starts from 51 square meters. So we are already like a very generous size for European standards. That's why our entry level is junior suite. And then we have the villas, right? So we go from suites to villas that goes from 3 bedroom up to 6 bedroom. The villas are former farmer houses that has been restored and reconverted in these beautiful mansions. They all have private swimming pool and a beautiful private extensive garden. We sell the villas with the half-board formula. So when you take a villa with us, included, it's a breakfast delivered every morning to the villa and one of the 2 main meals for all the villa guests, which can be at the villa or in one of the restaurants. Talking about restaurants, our sense of taste, of course, Tuscany is all about food and wine. And we are in the perfect place because apart from, in addition actually to our culinary offer, which is made of Tuscan Trattoria, Osteria La Canonica, and our Ristorante Campo del Drago, a more fine dining option, we also have our in-house winery. We have our own production of wine, and of course it's Brunello wine, right? And in addition to this, the culinary experiences start from the kitchen garden, the organic kitchen garden that we have on property, and goes to the cooking school, which is actually one of the most popular activities for our guests. We also do, we are a 100% leisure destination. There's no corporate component here. However, we do have groups, small board meetings, so that is our let's say corporate component. But when talking about events and gatherings, I just would like to highlight that we are a venue for destination weddings, buyouts, social events, and family celebrations. So each villa can be a beautiful venue, but also there's very many outdoor spaces and indoor spaces that can be used for events. And then of course, something that we definitely would like to mention is the experiences that we can offer at the property. So inside the estate, from spa to outdoor sports, hiking, biking, but also there's a lot to do also in the surrounding area, from wine. I mean, if you are a wine lover, there's one of the best, some of the best wineries here around us in the country. And of course, truffle hunting also can be another nice activity to do, especially now in the fall. So again, there's a wellness, relaxation, but also a lot of adventure. We can move forward, Peggy, with the next few slides. I mean, there's just few pictures of what we can offer and in terms of experiences, and also in the next one you can see some of the spaces in our villas and in our suites. So Castiglion del Bosco is all about slow pace, relaxation, nature, family time for sure, and privacy. I just would like to finish saying that another important update for us this year is that we are extending the season. So for the first time, we aren't closing in mid-November as we used to do, but we are extending it until after the holidays, after Christmas. So this is something that we we wanted to do, as we understand there is a shift in the season. We open a little bit later in June, and we are now closing at the beginning of January. So keep that in mind. Hopefully we will open up the countries soon to all the areas, all the regions in the world. There are some promotion and some packages, of course, for the fall and the festive. But this is pretty much really the highlights that I wanted to present you this morning. And I think that I can let Jody to take over again.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Maria, and for all of those wonderful presentations today. I'm sure like me, a lot of people are dreaming of traveling again. So I certainly can't wait to be able to visit some of your amazing properties. So now we'd like to open up for questions. So if anyone has any questions, please feel free to direct those to the chat box. So I'm going to hand over to my colleague Peggy to run through and see some of those questions we have received.
Sure, thanks, Jody. Since we heard about our two sister properties about the COVID situation, Mike, would you like to share with us any updates in London or in the UK about COVID as it stands today?
Sure, absolutely. So yeah, the situation is much improving and continues to improve all the time. So London, as I mentioned, is very much open to international travel now. Just in the domestic situation here, so everything is pretty much open: retail, bars, restaurants, museums. Majority of theatres are now open around the city, and there's a lot of life back in the city, which is great. From a vaccination point of view, 82% of the adult population now are fully vaccinated. So we're in a good place from the vaccination point of view, and the government has just announced changes. We had a traffic light system, a red, yellow, green system, so that has just been updated and will come in. The new change to that will come into effect at 4 AM on the 4th of October. So travellers from now, it won't be red, yellow, green, it'll just be green and red. So the green list countries, those who come from green list countries, if you are fully vaccinated with a recognised vaccine, and the UK government has expanded the list of officially recognised vaccines, you will be able to enter the country without the need for the second day testing. And you will be able to just have a lateral flow test or an antigen test, which are much cheaper than the PCR tests that have been required on up until now. So making it a lot easier. If it's a red list country, of which there's still a red list country, or that list has been reduced, then you are still required to go to a managed quarantine hotel for 10 days. But that list is a lot smaller now. I'm not going to go through every list of the countries that are on the green list now, but if you go to the government website, gov.uk, go to the coronavirus section, it's very clearly laid out there which countries are allowed in. But it's opening up, and we're very much looking forward to seeing our friends and colleagues from the Asia Pacific region come back into the city as soon as possible.
Speaking of which, with COVID hopefully ending soon, actually, when is the best time to come to London, Mike?
Anytime's a good time. Anytime's a good time to come to London. Depends what you're up to. I mean, you come in for where are we now? We're looking at the autumn, fall time. So if you come in now, soon we'll be getting everything. We're getting ready for Christmas, and if you come to London at Christmas, the whole city transforms. There's a great atmosphere. The lights will go up around the city, and all the stores and retail stores will be available. And the ice rinks will be put up, various pop-up ice rinks, and that'll be the same this year around the city. Spring and summer, I personally like springtime. It's beautiful. You've got the summer just around the corner. We don't have the guaranteed sunshine that my colleagues in Tuscany might have, but we do get our fair share of summer, and summer in the city when on a lovely day is very good, and you can take advantage of terrace in the courtyard has been very popular this year. So you can sit outside in sunshine and soak up a bit of sun, and it's a very dry heat. We don't have the humidity. So there's lots to do around the city. And actually coming to London now, I would say if you can get to London, it's probably the best time to come to the city, because there's plenty of life around. So you get the feel and the buzz of being in London that you always had, but you don't quite have the volume of tourists that we might have once had pre-pandemic. So you can go to attractions like the Tower of London and you don't have to queue for 3 hours to get in to see the crown jewels. You can go and get it. The queues are a lot shorter. So I would suggest if you've got clients coming to London, you take advantage of that and get them to come sooner rather than later, because you can, restaurants, it's a bit easier to get in some of the big restaurants that sometimes you have very long waiting lists for as well.
That's great. And one last question for you, Mike. Can you name one thing that makes Rosewood London unique in comparison with, let's say other properties around the area or London in general?
Sure. Yeah, I'd say one of the unique aspects, we have a few, but one of the things I would say is definitely unique is our courtyard. I showed you at the very beginning of our presentation that there's no other hotel in London that has a courtyard arrival experience like ours. We're in a busy part of the city, so we're not far from the more traditional metropolitan areas of the West End. But when you come in off High Holborn, which is the street in front of the hotel, you come in through this beautiful 2 pairs of wrought iron gates. Taxi or your transfer car, whatever you're using, will come in and pull you right into the courtyard, right up in front of the doors. You step out and you feel like stepping into a different world. It's quiet. You feel like you're in a little bit of a sanctuary, and you step out on one side, you go into the hotel, the other side got the terrace that I showed you as well. And if you've got clients that are having concern over privacy, etc., they don't need to see the outside world. And it's something that guests say to us, that when they come in, they feel they're in a little bit of sanctuary in London. They feel they're away, close to the hustle and bustle of London, but away from it when they're physically in the hotel. And so there's no other hotel that has a courtyard like that.
It sounds like the best of both worlds.
It sure is.
Marie-Christine, I actually have some questions for you as well. About your pool in the spa, from the pictures, it actually looks really attractive. What is the main feature of that particular pool that you have?
Well, it's almost a semi-Olympic pool, so it's nice for a nice swimming in the morning or any time of the day. It has the natural daylight that is it gives this freshness and brightness, and because of the basin being filled with the gold mosaic, it has this beautiful reflection. Is really, the pool is almost like it's a piece of art, and as I said, the hotel is filled with artwork, and you really have the sense, of artistic, style, and well, it's really a beautiful area of relaxation, and it's very private as well. We are not, we have some members, but very few, and it's really how do you say, is access to the hotel guests. So it's really a very nice area to relax and enjoy.
I see. That sounds really attractive. And one more question. How many signature suites do you have, and what is the most famous designer contributor for your suites?
Okay, so we have in total 10 signature suites. The most famous ones are the Grand Appartement, which were done in collaboration with Karl Lagerfeld. So it's a very interesting story, because he comes from the fashion world, but he was, unfortunately, he is no longer with us, but he was a great connoisseur of the 18th century, and he was passionate about French history. So all the theme around Versailles, Marie Antoinette, and this is all the link with the history of the hotel. We are dated from the 18th century, so Louis the 16th, Marie Antoinette, they were married in Versailles, but they were in front of the Place de la Concorde to greet the French people. Marie Antoinette, the legend says that she used to come to the hotel to play the piano. So all this thematic is, you know, very dear to Mr. Lagerfeld, and he had also this great connection, Versailles, 21st century. So it's not an opulent suite. It's a very it has some features from you know, old style, but it's a very contemporary look, overlooking Place de la Concorde. So these are the two major suites of the hotel, with the Bernstein as well. I mean, this is a suite that you can interconnect, and you can sell it as a one unit with a third connection that is a single room that is called Choupette. Choupette was his cat, so he also designed this room, you know, to make the connection with one of the suites. The other suite that is very famous, the Bernstein suite on the 6th floor. This is one of the, I would say, most wanted suites in the world. I mean, it's a very famous, I mean, the old Hôtel de Crillon had the suite already. It's named after Leonard Bernstein, the great American composer. He used to live in the hotel during the 70s. He used to spend, you know, long months at the hotel. For those who don't know, he's a composer of the West Side Story, is one of the most famous musicals. So this suite is so magnificent and well known that, of course, Rosewood kept the name. It was completely revisited by Shahan Minassian, the other great designer. And the particularity of this suite, it has 150 square meters of terrace. So you have Paris on your feet. As a matter of fact, last year when we reopened the hotel for a short time, we did a pop-up bar on the terrace. Bonsoir Paris was the name of the bar. A great success. We had all the Parisians lining up in front of the hotel in order to you know, come to our bar and get to know the suite as well, because you know, most of the times this type of suites are you know, occupied by, you know, celebrities, you know, head of states, VIPs. So it was you know, great opportunity. But we have, so in total of 10, and each one has a different decor. I mean, you really feel you are in your Parisian apartment. You don't have the feel that you are in a hotel. This is also the sense we gave to all our rooms. I mean, there's no rooms that look exactly the same as the other. You know, they all have something very different to offer.
That's great. It's really going to be a home away from home for a lot of people who stay at your suites and your hotel. Let's move over to Tuscany. Maria, is there a minimum length of stay at your villas? And actually, do you require a deposit at the time of booking?
No, so there's no minimum length of stay for the villas. So you can take one of the villas also for one night. Also, something different is that we do not require like the arrival on a Saturday and a 7-night usually stay, right? Which is actually the common villa formula. So it's very, very flexible. We do not require deposit usually. So it's depending on the promotion, like if there's some promotion, but usually at the time of booking, it's credit card guaranteed, and then it's like to book a suite in a hotel, right? So that is really giving the flexibility, even though it's a villa. So that's valid for all the 11 villas that we have.
Well, makes it really flexible. That's great. And it's good to also hear that you're extending your operation times this year. Yeah. So what are your most popular things to do during the fall and winter time in where you are in Tuscany?
So first of all, in my opinion, fall is really the best season to come to Tuscany. There's plenty of things to do. It could be related to the culinary aspect. an adventure, such as the truffle hunting, right? We are in the white truffle season. So the truffle hunting expeditions, especially for families, are really great experiences. You really go into the wood with the dogs, and there are local guides that perform this activity, that guides the guests, so they get to know really interesting people. One of these activities definitely for the fall, but then because the weather is not that cold, so you really have sunny days. As Mike said, we have sun even in the winter, right, in Tuscany. It's not that hot as in summer, but you can still do a lot of outdoor activities, so sports. And last but not least, we are surrounded by beautiful little villages. The Val d'Orcia is really made of these incredible little towns like Pienza, for instance, Montepulciano, Montalcino. All those are places that you can visit, and they are actually perfect to be visited in the fall because they are less crowded, and again, it's not that hot as in summer. So these are actually my favorite activities for the fall. And then in the estate, in the property, of course, you have the relaxation at the spa, but also the cooking classes, the winery. So as I said during the presentation, it's there's plenty of things that can be done, and fall is a season that has a lot to offer, also in terms of colors. The foliage, of course, the trees, the woods surrounding us are beautiful.
Well, can't wait to come over to Tuscany. I haven't been before, so looking forward to once borders reopen.
Absolutely.
Yes. Last but not least, Jody, to sum up this whole webinar, I actually have one question for you. How would you describe and compare Rosewood to other luxury brands to a client?
I think actually I get asked this question quite often, and I think what I personally feel sets us apart and what I personally love about the Rosewood brand is that sense of place philosophy. So when I was in Phuket, so previously I was in a pre-opening team for Rosewood Phuket and Le Bon Prabang, and what I was really amazed at during the pre-opening process is that attention to detail that went into the creation of all of the design, not just the design, the uniforms, the cocktails, every element of the hotel. That was just such attention to detail. And I think that what the three hotels, from what you've heard today, you can really hear that coming through with each of them. Whether you're in London, Paris, or Tuscany, you feel like you're in the destination. So I feel like our portfolio of hotels is not a cookie cutter approach, so to speak, and obviously you wouldn't expect that in a luxury brand anyway, but it's just they're so unique and so different. And so that sense of place philosophy is what I think really sets us apart, so to speak.
Yeah, and I definitely agree. And this whole sense of place philosophy not only is for the European collection, but also it translates over to the US and Asia Pacific as well. Thanks everyone for your time. I have no more questions, and Jody, I'll pass it back to you for closing.
Thank you, Peggy, and a big thanks to Peggy and obviously our presenters today. We appreciate that our borders are maybe a little bit slower to open in this part of the world, but we're certainly going to be ready to travel when that happens. We hope, for our clients that joined today, we hope this, can assist to understand our properties in Europe and hopefully welcome your clients and even yourselves in the near future. Obviously, myself, I'm taking care of Southeast Asia, Australia, and New Zealand, so please do feel free to reach out if I can assist you with anything. And we will send the recording, as I mentioned, afterwards, and obviously do the lucky draw for those wonderful prizes from these fabulous hotels. So thank you again, everybody. Have a lovely afternoon or evening. Thanks again. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Ciao. Bye-bye.